All right, welcome back. So in this session, let's have a look quickly at conditionals. The point we want to make very, very quickly is that by default, our programs are going to be executed in the order in which they have been written. And what this simply means is that the first command that is seen or that is typed is the first command that is going to be executed. In some instances, you might want to change the order in which things are done. And in cases like these, we need to make use of our conditionals. I have given a rough syntax of the conditionals. And it starts out with the if keyword followed by the condition. We will have to state what our condition or our conditions are. And then there's going to be a colon. Once we have the colon, then below it, in terms of indentation, we will indicate what is associated with the condition. So that's the condition. And these are the statements which are associated with the above condition. Similarly, for the else if or elif, we also have a condition or a set of conditions. And in a similar manner, we're also going to indicate the statements which are associated with that condition. So here's our else if condition, and here are the statements associated with it. So let's quickly demonstrate how all of this actually works. I could, for example, want to look at age, and I want to display this print statement whenever age is above 30, for example. So let's say if age is greater than 30, then we want to display the print statement. Otherwise, so I'm just using an else, or I didn't put the colon here in the syntax of the else. So just to make that adjustment. So else, let's do a print statement. Did not meet condition. So let's execute and let's see how this works out. So remember, if the age is greater than 30, we will display the information. If not, we will print the message that says did not meet condition. So this is going to be python2.py. So let's enter age. So we said above 30. Let me kill this and just clear the screen. All right, so let's go again. So 31. Salary doesn't really matter. Let's say 250. Status is true. And the name is James Bond. So age is 31. So it therefore means that we will do our print. Let's execute again. But this time, let us allow age to be 29. Keeping everything else the same. And this time, notice that it says we did not meet the condition. So just to go back to our logic, we're actually doing a check here. And we are saying that if age is greater than 30, then that's when we want to do the print statement. So this print statement that displays the details of the variables is actually associated with the condition age greater than 30. And whenever that is true, then we do the print. However, if that condition is false, then we jump to the else. And at that point, we would now be printing that the condition was not met. So it's a simple if statement that we have here. Just to also indicate that we said we can have more than one condition. So notice this only checks to see if age is actually greater than 30. So any values greater than 30, this would still execute. And just as an example, let's put in the value to be 100. So let's clear, let's execute. So value is 100, 100 is greater than 30. Keep everything else roughly the same. And we're going to see that we still are going to see the message. So James Bond 100, 2509, true. And that is because age meets the criteria of being greater than 30. Now we are going to change that though. And we are going to introduce multiple conditions. In this case, we want to create a boundary within which age must exist. So we want age to be greater than 30. And at the same time, we want age to be less than 50. So this means we want age to be ranging between 31 and 49. Now, in order to put something like this, we need to have a command that joins the two together. And in this case, we will be using the AND. So how does this work? The AND allows us to combine two or more conditions. And in this case, the only time that the entire statement becomes true is when both conditions are actually true. So for this entire statement to be true, because we are using the AND, then it means that age greater than 30 must be true. And at the same time, age less than 50 must also be true. And that's the only time that we will actually print the statement here. So let's quickly try that out. All right, so going to execute. And we're going to put in 100 again. And this time you will see that we do not print the content of the variables. So once again, we did not print because we did not meet the criteria or the condition. So 100 is not less than 50, in other words. So it therefore means that that criteria or that condition would not be met. So that's the purpose of the AND. It allows us to combine two or more conditions in such a way that all the conditions must be true for us to enter the if. So that's how we work in terms of joining multiple conditions together by using the AND command. I've noticed though that in terms of the printout, we need a little separation between our input and our output. So I'm putting a new line at the beginning of these two statements, just so that our output can be cleaner. So having placed that, having saved, let's move with 50. 50 itself. Remember, it's between 30 and 50. but not inclusive of, which means that the range is 31 to 49. So salary, fee status, name, and it looks a little bit cleaner in that we have put some space in between the input and the output. And we did not meet the condition because 50 is actually greater than 49. So we are not within the boundaries that we have indicated, which is 31 to 49. All right, so we have looked at the and, we have looked at the if. We can now just quickly demonstrate how we can have multiple conditions. So let's say we have a range of values that we want to work with. So let's say if age is greater than 30 and age less than 50. Otherwise, so else if age is greater than or equal to 50 and age is less than or equal to 100. And in that case, we are going to print the values, but we're also going to print a message to indicate where our age range falls between. So at the top, let's do a print for both of them. So a new line, I'll say age is between 31 and 49 inclusive. So those are the values that we're looking at, 31 and 49, and anything in between. Let's put another print statement inside the else if. And this time age is going to be between 50 because we said greater than or equal to. So it's going to be between 50 and 100. And that's going to be inclusive as well because we have the equal sign, which means that we want the 50 and we want the 100 to be included in the computations. So let's save. And let's get ready to execute. So enter age. Let's say we enter 101. Then that should not meet the criteria or any of the criteria that we have indicated earlier. So did not meet the criteria, which is no surprise because we are looking at age being between 50 and 100 or between 31 and 49. So anything that does not fall into those ranges would not meet the condition or the criteria. So let's try something now that actually meets the criteria. So let's try 60, for example. And notice it now tells us that age is between 50 and 100, which is true because age is 60. And we are printing the details, James Bond, and the other details that follow. And let us try between 31, sorry, and 49. Or so we can try 32. And we are seeing here that the age is between 31 and 49, and we are printing the message. All right, so the final thing that we want to talk about quickly is how do we combine conditions using the OR. So we have looked at combining conditions using the AND, which means everything has to be true. But we can also use something known as the OR. And what OR indicates is that as long as any one of the condition is true, then the entire thing is true. So I'm going to set up a condition that is more representative. So let's say that we want age to be equal to 30, or we want fees paid to be true, or fees paid is equal to true. Then if any one of these conditions is met, then we want to say age is 30, or fees paid is true. And in that case, we are going to display the content of the variables. And I'm just going to get rid of the else if in this case, so that we can just look purely at how the OR operates. So let's save, note what our conditions are. We want to know if age is equal to 0. And we want to know if fees paid is equal to true. Now, if any of those conditions is true, then we will display. However, if both conditions are false, then it means that we will now reach the else. And as such, we will just display did not meet the condition. So remember, with OR, all conditions have to be false for us to jump past that condition. So it's 30 and fees paid equal true. So we're going to test out age being 30 first and foremost. All right, so let's put the correct command. So we want age to be 30. And let's put status as being false. Remember, with the OR, as long as one condition is true, then the entire thing becomes true. So notice it says age 30 or fees paid is true. In this case, age was 30. Fees paid was false. However, we still printed the content of the variables because at least one of the thing was true. So age was equal to 30. We got that part being true. The fees paid was actually false. But a true combined with a false linked with the OR is still going to be true. Let's re-execute this again. So this time, let us allow age to be something different. So 31. Let's say this is also false, meaning fees paid. And we look at James Bond. So in this case, we are seeing here that we have obtained the print statement, but we had entered for the fees status, we had entered false. So therefore means that there's some logical error in the program. So let's go and have a look. So we have fees paid equal true. That's going to be the Boolean here. We also have age being 31. So therefore means that there's some logical error here that needs to be addressed. Let me just get a minute or two to figure that out. All right, so put in a print statement, and I realized that whenever we print fees paid, even though we entered a false, it was still being recorded as being true. So what happens in this case is, in order to get a false value, we need to enter an empty string. So let's compute that again. And I'll quickly demonstrate what I mean, and then we wrap up. So enter age. Age would have been, I think we said 31, so that it could be false. Salary, 250. Fee status, let's just give it an empty string. And then name is James Bond. So because we enter the empty string for fee status, then that the bool operation would now convert that to a false value. So I'm displaying the content of the fees paid, which in this case now becomes false. And hence, we now do not meet the condition because the two criteria is now false. Just going back to what the two criteria were, we had 31. So therefore means that age equal to 30 is going to be false. And we entered an empty string inside of fees paid. Then we converted that to a Boolean, which means that fees paid is also going to be false. So therefore, fees paid equal true. That's going to be false. And age equal to 31, that's going to be false. So we have two false being joined with an or. It means that the entire thing is false, which means that we would jump to the else and print did not meet condition. All right, so this one was a little bit longer than 15 minutes, but at the same time, it was not too long that you would not be able to quickly digest the information. Now, in the next session, we start looking at loops. See you then.